Ahoy, and welcome back to The Workaround. My name is Bob Gilbreth. I'm your host. You are in good company with many fellow entrepreneurs and innovators who follow my stories from a career in tech startups and corporate innovation. I'm here to make you think, smile, and discover a shortcut to success or a trap to avoid. And this is one that I think is particularly relevant for a lot of people right now, and something I've been going through myself as a parent. And that is kids who get out of college and got to go find the first job or two. It's stressful. We worry about it as parents. Life seems to be getting tougher for this rising generation than it was for us. And as I'll explain, I get asked a lot of questions of trying to help my friends' my friends' kids as they jump into the working world. So I've had a lot of those conversations, and I'm trying to put it all together in one package here. Hopefully it's helpful. It's a little something I call Share This With Your Job Searching Kids, the guide they never got in college, guaranteed to boost their odds of success. Okay, here we go. Every month or so, a friend asks if I would be willing to meet with their son or daughter who is very early in their career, usually about to graduate or a few years out, in hopes that I might offer some helpful advice. Just last week, I met Ben, who was looking for a wealth management position in Chicago. I'm not sure I'm always helpful, but I always say yes. I love meeting with people and still remember how much I struggled to figure out the job search game a long time ago. And I tell you, it is rough out there. A study by Handshake, which is an app for college and entry-level jobs, reports that position openings are down 15% from this time last year, but applications are up 30%. Also, the U.S. unemployment rate for new grads is 6%, which is much higher than the overall rate of 4%. You can call it AI, economic uncertainty, or whatever you want, but there's no denying that new grads are now working harder to land one of a shrinking number of openings. Getting a job is their real first job. And the universities that we spend so much money with don't teach that class. This summer, my daughter Ella had a few weeks to kill before her first job started, an internship. So I decided to create a class that she and her peers at so many universities never got to take. My class comes from my experience hiring hundreds of people for my companies and running a recruiting business for a few years. Follow these steps, and I guarantee that your odds of success will rise dramatically. Plus, you'll build lifelong skills in the process. Okay, there's a couple things to keep in mind before I get into the big steps here. The first is you've got to clear out any unproductive feelings and voices in your head that get in the way. For example, accept that life is not fair and the world doesn't owe you a job. Next, don't play the game of blaming the economy, government, your university, others' privileges, or capitalism. Finally, avoid self-doubt, including the idea that you need to go get another degree of some kind before you'll get a job. These are all internal, ego-based defenses that the mind puts up to prevent you from seeing reality. And that reality is, first jobs are tricky. And for several decades, almost everyone, including me and your parents, has struggled through fits and starts to get their careers off the ground. Trust the process, then get to work. And that get to work is the second prep step here. Think of finding a job as a 40-hour-a-week job. It's all about self-discipline. Things like setting an alarm clock in the morning, getting dressed, sitting down to your computer at 9 a.m. Create a goal for yourself to have a certain amount of output that you want to achieve before stopping. Work a full day, but give yourself a lunch break. Avoid the social feeds and gaming with friends until after the self-work whistle blows at 5 p.m. By treating the job search as real work, you'll increase your odds of success And just as importantly, the day will pass quickly and you'll end it with a feeling of accomplishment. And it also holds off the alternative feelings of depression and worthlessness that fill the vacuum of just waiting for something good to happen. All right, let's get into it. There's two big tasks here, just two. I don't know what I'm doing here. The first is networking. You may have heard the quote, "It's not what you know, it's who you know." That is probably the oldest advice in the history of business. And it was true in the past and will even be more true in the future. It's a timeless lesson because business is personal. Human beings working together for a greater cause. Some people work better together than others, so we go out of our way to understand whether or not a new hire will be a good fit on the team. Our networks comprise the people we have worked with in the past. And since almost everyone is connected in some way, we go to our networks to find and assess potential team additions more than any other source. That's why 70 to 85% of jobs come from networking, and referrals from current employees are the leading source of new hires. Networking is going to be even more critical in the future thanks to the spamification of job applications. There's a whole technology arms race going on. Some companies making it easier to apply to more jobs, while other companies making software to screen out resumes. Company recruiters open up their tracking software each morning and cringe as the number of applications piles up faster than they can look at them. Then their job is to say no all day long. You shouldn't necessarily stop applying, but don't overdo it and never expect a reply, much less an interview, from just an application. On the other hand, networking brings several benefits. First, learning. As a recent grad, you know almost nothing about how the world of work really works. So talking with people gets that knowledge out of them and into your brain. The people you meet will offer what you're missing, filtered through their experiences of what worked and didn't for them. Now, you don't have to believe or act on all their advice, but the more you take in, the more you'll see the patterns of truth and the right path for you. Second, networking leads to more networking. Once you meet with people, they'll often think of others in their networks who might be helpful. If you've made a positive impression, they will be happy to keep helping in this way. Third, it can be a great side door to hire. Don't expect it to happen all the time or even very often, but the person you network with might be in a position to hire you or tell the recruiting team in HR to pull your application out of the pile for a closer look. This whole thing is a numbers game. Meet more people, get more of these three benefits, and you'll increase your surface area of luck. And this is how you'll continue to discover and land jobs for the rest of your career. All right, that's the big picture of networking. Now let's drill down to getting it done. You've got to build a personal CRM. It's essential to get organized around the people you meet. In the business world, many of us use customer relationship management or CRM software to track current and potential clients and partners. It's a way to keep notes on who these people are, how you're connected, when you last spoke, and what you discussed. As I mentioned earlier, treating your job search as a job requires a process and software to do it well. But you don't need to learn and buy some kind of special personal CRM software. All you need is a simple spreadsheet. I worked with my daughter to create a straightforward version, which I've turned into a template with examples that you can copy or download. I've got links on Substack or here to go check that out. Use this or your version of it, put all the people you know onto it. That's your network, including college friends, helpful professors, friends of your parents, and anyone or everyone you've ever worked with in any job. Make sure you connected with all of them on LinkedIn and add that URL to their LinkedIn profile to your spreadsheet. Then make some notes on the last conversation you had. Refer back to this document for contacts who might have been helpful in times of need. Check in with people you haven't communicated with in a while. You might even rank this list according to how well you know them or how helpful they have been. The point is that your network will be the most powerful tool in your career, and the better you build a habit around managing it, the more powerful it will be. Okay, getting meetings. Now that you're organized, it's time to start speaking with people. First, you'll want to make sure that you've met with everybody on that list that you created. And when you meet with them, or through a short email, text, or LinkedIn message, ask them who else they know that might be helpful to meet. Getting that personal introduction from them to a new trusted person is always the best way to go. Again, this is the power of networking. Once you've tapped off all those sources, you'll want to do some cold outreach as well. It's called cold because you don't have that personal introduction working to your advantage. But you can do a few things to try and warm up the potential outreach. One of the best ways is to find a mutual connection of some kind that resonates with the human heartstrings. For example, do a LinkedIn search of alumni of your college who work in roles or at companies similar to who and what you're targeting. The shared college experience will often help break through the clutter, create a positive memory, and a desire to pay it forward to the next generation of graduates. Send them a LinkedIn connection request with something like this. Hey, name, I'm a recent grad at school, and I'm starting my career. I'm eager to follow in your footsteps. I'd love to get your advice on how to get started. Would you have some time to do a short Zoom in the next week or two? Send a bunch of those out, then check back daily for acceptances, and follow up quickly by repeating the meeting request in a direct message. Offer to make yourself available at their convenience, and when they tell you what works for them, send a calendar invite for 30 minutes with a video conference link to their preferred email address. And do it as soon as possible. Strike while that iron is still warm. Along with a shared school, you could try lots of other potential connection points like hometown, sport, hobby, activity, or church. If they are doing something creative, like my own Substack and podcast, genuinely read or listen to and then praise their work. All of us creators love to be loved. But most importantly, don't get discouraged when people don't reply. Everybody's busy. Many people need a second gentle reminder. Some people fear that you're going to try to sell them something because sadly, aggressive sellers now exploit every human hook they can. And other people just don't have an open heart and are not interested in being helpful. That's sad for them. But remember, it's just a numbers game, and the right people will reply to you. When I spoke to my new friend Ben about his fears of sending these messages that people might find annoying, he admitted that my fear probably comes through in my outreach messages, which could hurt my response rate. That self-knowledge from Ben is the kind of thing you need to win this game. See your fear as an irrational voice, then toss it away and move past it. Okay, you got the meeting, what to talk about. The video app's running, the face of someone older and wiser comes on the screen to speak with you. It's showtime, and you're the one who has to run the show. But it's pretty easy. Here's the agenda that I would suggest using. First, introduce yourself. Remind them who you are and give a 2-minute summary of your background, what type of role you're seeking, and why you thought this person might have helpful advice. Then just ask them to tell their career story. This is when the real learning begins, and everyone likes to talk about themselves. Listen for the things that surprise you or you don't understand. Follow-up questions often provide the juiciest insights and show that you're paying attention. Finally, go to some questions that start angling toward your goal of finding an actual job. This is where you're getting down to business. So begin with some general advice points and then gradually shift towards specific opportunities. For example, how did you get your job? How did you get your first job? How did you get this current job? What would you do if you were in my shoes again? How would you suggest I improve my chances of getting into your company? Is there anyone else in your network who you think I should speak with? And if there's still time, or as a follow-up, you might say, would you be willing to take a quick look at my resume and or portfolio and share any feedback? Then finish professionally. Look at the clock, don't go longer than 30 minutes, thank them profusely, and then send a follow-up email or LinkedIn note to thank them again and mention any specific follow-ups that you guys discussed. For example, here's my resume if you have time to look at it, or I would love to meet with the friend you said you'd introduce me to. Then pull up your tracking sheet and update with the information that you just got. Get in the habit of this and you'll not only rack up more insights and intros, but it's a great way to build up your skills and confidence in meeting new people. Again, this is what your entire career will be riding on. Okay, now it's time for the second big task. Do something different. The job search version of insanity is thinking that you're going to win against thousands of other similarly skilled and degreed applicants. While networking can increase your odds, there's a second strategy hiding in plain sight that almost no one considers. Most people don't follow it because it does require significant effort, but that's kind of the whole point. The secret? Do something creative, consistently, that shows your passion, skills, and grit around the job you want. This will help you stand out in a crowded field while further developing your skills and staving off the depression that comes while waiting for a reply from a recruiter. I first saw this strategy in action years ago when I was hiring entry-level client service people at my digital agency. The job attracted numerous candidates eager to work at a high-growth, cool, and creative company with big brand clients. I recall sifting through resumes of recent college grads and seeing the same thing. Marketing degrees from good schools with good GPAs. But then I noticed one candidate, Kristen, who had a side hustle making and selling men's neckties online. That got my attention. E-commerce was growing, and I knew that someone with hands-on experience would be ahead of the game. Plus, anyone who can take the initiative and run a side business while carrying a full course load must have a great work ethic. I moved Kristen to the top of the interview list. I spoke about her with other teammates around the office, pointing out her website and eagerly anticipating her visit. I entered our interview, which was more like a discussion, with incredibly positive vibes. My questions were mainly around her small business, and she replied with genuine energy because it was something she knew well and was excited about. We quickly gave Kristen an offer. She excelled at our agency for years, and I was lucky enough to recruit her to my next startup too, where she kicked some more ass. I don't think we would have had such success together if she hadn't been selling men's ties online those many years ago. Here's why creating something helps accelerate your career. First, it proves your skills. It's tough for a recruiter to tell from school classes and team projects if a candidate can do the work companies need. But there's no denying a public project that came from your own mind and hands. And like Kristen, you learn so much by doing this real-world work. It's why I prefer portfolios to resumes for almost any job I'm hiring for. Second, you stand out from the pack. Almost no one else does something like this. So when you share it, hiring managers and recruiters spark to it. The project also gives you some more interesting material to draw from when you're getting the standard interview questions. Third, it shows you care. The time investment it takes to do a personal project speaks for itself. Those on the hiring side see that you must be passionate, confident, curious, and motivated. You could do so many other things in your free time, but only the best of the best care enough to do this. Okay, where to start? First, don't take on a project unless you love the work enough to keep going. As I've written here before, you gotta care about it. Just one blog post or video is unshareable, as it suggests that you don't have what it takes to follow through. So find something that you love making. Could be videos, freelance work, an e-commerce business, blog posts, memes, a podcast, poetry, whatever. As long as you are consistently producing and it's related to the career you're looking to be in. An idea I've shared dozens of times is for people looking to break into marketing. Let me break it down. Okay, most entry-level marketing jobs are related to social media management. Recent graduates are typically more adept at social media, and this type of marketing is a common tactic to attract younger consumers. So, you probably understand social media marketing better than your prospective employer. This leads you to create a project that demonstrates your ability to market a brand on social media effectively. For example, what if you do a series of street interview videos asking what Gen Z consumers think of popular brands? Just go pull in random people walking on campus, or even coach your friends to deliver the goods you need. Chop them up and edit them using the skills and software you're most familiar with. Then send them to hiring managers and recruiters at the companies. The great thing about this idea is that it can be applied to any business with any job opening. Hell, you can even create a brand around what Gen Z thinks of brands. All you need is one person to watch at the company, and they will, because it's interesting, different, honest, and no one else does this shit. Seriously. We on the hiring side are sitting at our desks doing boring stuff all day, and then suddenly we find this remarkable person bringing energy to our business. Someone's going to see this, get excited, share it around, and suddenly you've got an interview in which most of the questions will be around what you know better than they do. Going back to my conversation with Ben, we brainstormed together a little bit about interests he has that could be dialed up to stand out in looking for a wealth management position. He told me that he's been using AI to help direct his personal investments. Boom! There's an idea. Everyone in the world is trying to figure out AI, and most leaders are too busy with their day-to-day to dig in. But if he packages this interest into something shareable, Ben could stand out and likely be pulled into any one of many companies that are feeling FOMO on AI. There's a lot of other hacks that you can apply once you're creating content too. For example, what if you did a podcast about starting a career in whatever field you've chosen to pursue? The audience could be recent grads like yourself, so you're building up a network of subscribers. Then, instead of messaging prospects to ask for career advice, as I mentioned above, you're inviting them to be on your podcast. Many people respond positively to invitations like that. It makes them feel good to tell their stories to an audience, thus helping people at scale rather than just through a one-off chat. Remember, with every podcast you record, post you write, video release, whatever, you are developing skills, increasing your surface area of luck, and doing something productive and positive. So many wins to pick up here if you commit to doing the work. All right, now you got the offer. Everything's going to finally work out. You land a job, and you feel like a burden's off your shoulders and the wind's at your back. You made it. At this point, it probably will feel natural to just drop everything you've been doing to land the job so you can focus on the work ahead. But don't stop the great habits you've built. Continue that CRM habit. You got to go back to everyone on that list who helped and send them a personalized email, not some LinkedIn post tagging them and hoping they see it. A personalized email to share your good news and thank them for their support. We want to know how our assistance paid off. Then start connecting with everyone you meet at your new job. Someday you'll be looking for your next role, and the more effort you keep putting into building and tracking your network, the more valuable it will be. Then keep that content coming. You might dial it down a bit, that side hustle work, but you've now got that great habit and some followers. So don't let it drop. Again, it's a chance to keep building your skills and something you're passionate about. And just as in networking, by putting more content into the world, you increase the odds that someone will find you for something interesting in the months or years ahead. Finally, pay it forward. With this job in hand, you're now in the position to help others who are striving to follow in your footsteps. So always reply to people who reach out to you in the future and do what you can to help them along. Remember what it felt like when most people didn't reply to your asks, but a few kind souls did. Continue that kindness. I spent last weekend driving cross country with Ella to move her into her first job after college graduation, and the irony factor was 10 out of 10. 31 years ago this month, my dad made a similar trek with me to the same state and same city for my first job. Back then, just as today, the economy was rough and I struggled to finally get an offer. But I saw in Ella and remembered in myself the excitement of breaking into the real world, of having a chance to test and prove ourselves and start carving our own futures. A few hours after giving her that last hug, I received a text from Ella as she emerged from a new hire orientation session. She went up to meet with both speakers at the session, having already connected with them on LinkedIn, and got some great advice. Then she emerged from the building to the sight of a giant rainbow. We agreed it was a sign from the universe of great things to come. All right, hey, how we might work together someday. When you guys go into big important positions, remember that Fleet is our holding company for service businesses. We invest in leaders who are ready to start their own companies. We also do a little M&A. If this might be you, hit my office hours link and we'll talk. A2 Influence is our content development agency. We help some of the biggest brands and retailers create and distribute authentic content at scale. Revelin is our consulting practice that helps with revenue alignment, growth management, and other RevOps functions. And then finally, I've got my office hours link here. Feel free to grab it, hit some time. We'll discuss questions, feedback, networking, any other topic. I warn you, if a bunch of people reply wanting to talk more about the job search process, I might do like a group session or something. We'll see how that works out. But anyway, don't be shy. Grab some time. Finally, the cool content of the week from someone else, a little something I found meaningful. You might agree. This is a career tip about taking the steepest slope, because I'm not the only one on Substack sharing personal tips that we wish someone had told us at the start of our careers. This recent example comes from Avni Thompson, who writes regularly on Substack at hers is called 10,000 Ways. And a couple weeks ago, she wrote a post called Maximize Slope. And she shared the number one question recent grads ask her, which is, how do you choose among so many potential jobs and career paths? Her answer, summarized in this post, is pick the direction that is going to give you the steepest learning curve. In it, she shares some stories from her career and lays out how diving into juicy, unknown challenges helps build skills quickly, learn how the business world works, figure out what type of work is best for you, and gain confidence to keep taking more, bigger risks in your career, which end up paying off in so many ways. Bottom line, future work is probably not going to be comfortable. Getting comfortable with discomfort might be the key to success from here on out. And the earlier we learn this lesson, the longer we'll get to benefit. So, there you go. Good luck, and ahoy for now.